And as we welcome New Zealand viewers to Ballymore, conditions couldn't be better for this vital game for Ireland against Tonga. Not a very big crowd, as you can see, but the sun, which was shining so strongly earlier on, now clouded over a little, and the Irish players will welcome that because they're not quite as used to the heat as the Tongans would be. Ireland a little apprehensive about the Tongan opposition today because they realised that the loose ball that they had left around the park in their matches against Canada and against Wales would be lethal if the Tongan players can latch on to any loose ball. So they'll be probably trying to play it tight. No anthems being played before this game today by mutual arrangement, but as you can see, quite a large number of Irish supporters, not only from the Brisbane area, but also who've travelled across the world, as it were, for this World Cup. The Ireland team with a completely new front row, Job Langbroek, Terry Kingston and Jim McCoy coming in place of the established trio. But one should say that they are not totally inexperienced because they have been packing against the full Irish pack throughout the build-up to the World Cup, and they are very strong. McCoy, of course, an experienced international, having played 8 times, but Langbroek, at 30 years of age, always in the shadow of the great Phil Orr, who today is among the substitutes. But Job Langbroek has played many times for Leinster and, of course, an experienced player with Blackrock and a B international. The other interesting selection in the Irish side is Neil Francis at number 8. He's only 23. He's a big tall lad at 6'6", and he normally plays as a second row lock, but he's been brought into the side to see if Ireland can win some line-out ball at the back of the line. And there's no doubt that his experience as a schools international, he was an outstanding schoolboy at Blackrock College, will stand to him today, but it'll be interesting to see how he fits into this Irish side, with Philip Matthews returning to the flank for his 12th international, happily recovered from the knock he received in Ireland's first World Cup game against Wales. Derek McGrath, the other flank forward, the open side flank forward, his 4th international, and he taking the place, of course, of the man that Ireland seemed to miss most, and that was Nigel Carr, unfortunately injured in that horrific explosion shortly before the team left for the World Cup. So that's the Irish side, and an interesting story too about Tony Ward in the side here at Ballymore, because in 1979, when he came here as European Player of the Year, Ireland dropped him for the test match in Ballymore and brought in Ollie Campbell. Ollie Campbell is here today as a spectator, and Tony Ward is back into the Irish side for his 19th cap. Referee today, Guy Moret from France, waiting for Valu to lead the Tongan side on to Ballymore. Tonga looking for their first win in the World Cup and being welcomed on to Ballymore. So there's the Tongan side, and number 1, Lutua, that prop forward who's made a big difference to his skipper here, Valu, one of the oldest men in the World Cup at 37 years of age. Tremendous captain, scored a try against Canada, one of 3 tries scored by Tonga in this World Cup. Donal Lenihan, Ireland's captain. And Donal has, of course, taken over the captaincy from Kieran Fitzgerald this year. His 30th international today, made his debut in 1981. And there's the tall Neil Francis coming out just in front of Willie Anderson. Well, conditions really couldn't be better. There's hardly any breeze to speak of. And number 12, David Irwin, back in the Irish side for the first time since 1984, his 17th international. A man who's recovered happily from injuries and showing very good form this season for Ulster, helping them to retain the Interprovincial Championship in Ireland. And back into the panel, and the Tongan side just standing to attention. No national anthems being played, but the Tongans are going to entertain, if that's the word, the crowd and the Irish team, who are not showing a great deal of interest, as the traditional pre-match haka is performed by the Tongans. Well, they're letting it all hang out, aren't they? Quite an exuberant opener. Brendan Mullen, the Irish centre there on the left. Referee for today, Guy Moret from France. Assisted by Con Waldron from Australia and René Hourquet from France on the line. So, Ireland having won the toss. Wait for the Tongan fly half, Asale Amone, to start. Amone, just 21 years of age, fit again after that injury he received in the match against Wales. And so Guy Moret blows a whistle, Amone starts, and Brendan Mullen, the one who supervises the tip down for the 22 dropout. Tony Ward made his debut for Ireland in 1978. France is going up after it, well taken by Fafita. That's Crossan dribbling it through up towards the 10-metre line. Keith Crossan, 7 tries in his 17 internationals so far. Now look for, on the Irish side, number 8, Neil Francis, his first cap, 6'6". Number 5 for Tonga, Kasse Fine. Fafita skips out Amone. And Liava, and that's Kingston onto it for Ireland. Into the Tongan 22, penalty against Ireland. And Jim McCoy, the one who's been told by Guy Moret that he must play the ball. Liavaha, number 13. And the line out 10 metres inside the Tongan half. The Tongan coach, Siona Kite. That loose ball has to be killed by Ireland, and it's a penalty against Tonga for going over the top. And you can see the offending figure of the captain, Valu, conceding the penalty, and Tony Ward to take it. So as Tony Ward prepares to take this kick, I shouldn't imagine there'll be much difficulty about silencing the crowd, because there are precious few people in Ballymore this afternoon. Just 2.5 minutes into the game. Tony Ward, who has scored in his 18 games for Ireland so far over 100 points, 101 points in fact. So Ward, from 5 metres inside the Tongan half, strikes it well, and it's all the way home. Ireland lead 3 points to 0 And the sure boot of Tony Ward puts them in front. And significantly, he will no doubt remember that it was at this ground that Ollie Campbell scored all those points with the boot when he took over from Ward. Fly half. Amone restarts for Tonga. Hugo McNeil choosing to bring play towards the halfway line. So Hugo McNeil, scorer of a try in Ireland's last game, playing very solidly at full-back. Afu throws, taken by Philip Matthews. Whistle goes. Referee gives a free kick to Tonga. Taken by Valu. Fifita, the scrum half. Matthews waits underneath it. Ball curls back. Irwin was looking for it. That's Fifita. Looks on the right wing for Fiala. Ireland winning them all, and the referee seeing a knock on, so it's a scrum to Tonga. Just 5 minutes into the game, Ireland leading 3 points to 0. Now, test for the new Irish front row. Seemed to bounce off the Tongan scrum. The referee will ask the scrum to be reformed. Good heel against the head by Ireland, and Fifita might be penalised, but the referee gives advantage to Ireland. Ward punishes the right wing. Plenty of ground made by Ireland, and the Tongans have switched the two wingers, and Fiala is playing on the left wing as Ireland barge through. That's Lenihan. Nicely back to Bradley, taken by Mullen's kick. And the fullback, Eteaki, finds touch, but dangerously close to the Tongan line. Eteaki, fullback who is involved in that tackle, an incident with Glenn Webb from Wales. Kingston's throw, Bradley to Ward, the knock forward by Ward. Advantage to Tonga, back comes McNeil. And the ball eluding so many players, McNeil eventually gaining it again, but the referee feels it was knocked on. Scrum to Tonga. Number 3 there for Ireland, Jim McCoy. And number 1 for the Tongans, Lutua. That's Willie Anderson, number 5. And Fifita for the Tongans. Again, Ireland win it against the head. This is Neil Francis. Finds Bradley. Bradley to Ringland. Fiala, the one who tackled Ringland. Throwing is Afu, the Tongan hooker. Taken well by Tuunga Fassi. Can they get it back? They'll get the scrummage just outside their own 22. Number 5, Willie Anderson. Number 9, Michael Bradley. And number 3 is Jim McCoy. Jim McCoy, Ireland's prop, gaining his 8th cap today. And the referee Guy Moret talking to Fifita, the scrum half for the Tongans, who must be a little concerned at the moment that so far 2 put-ins have gone Ireland's way. And Mick Doyle, Ireland's coach there, just looking pensively as Jim McCoy recovers. Just outside the Tongan 22. That's a better heel by the Tongans. Amone brings play just to halfway. Amone showing no sign of the injury that he suffered in the last game and had to be replaced. 21 years of age. Very polished player. Kingston throwing for Ireland. Nicely won by the Tongans, but intercepted by Kingston. Bradley looking for it. And it's there. He finds Ward. The long one to Mullen. Brendan Mullen looks inside for support. That could have been dangerous. Matthews tidies up. Referee says it went forward. Scrum to Tonga. Well, Philip Matthews was on to that loose one very quickly, but it could have been dangerous. Better heel this. Taken by Felice. Ireland drive over it. Bradley waits. It's there to be claimed. And now the Tongans get the movement forward, but the referee says that Ireland should have the advantage and awards them the scrum. Well, the Felice actually went in to win it, but Ireland drove over it. And look at that boot coming down dangerously close to Matthews' head. And it is now Philip Matthews who requires attention. And the last thing Ireland or anybody wants to see is that sort of play in international rugby, or indeed rugby at any level. The stamping on the ground is one of the features that can be so dangerous and really shouldn't be accepted at any level. But Matthews coming off just to have that cut tidied up. So Ireland down to 7 forwards. Bradley feeds Ward. Sliced off his boot, no gun gained, so the line out back. Midway between the 22 and halfway. So spell of danger for Ireland, leading by 3 points to 0. Just 11 minutes into the first half. Amone Afu to throw as Philip Matthews receives attention. McGrath in to challenge Mohi. So the scrum to Ireland. The 8 Tongans really pushing 7 Irishmen back. Good work by Valu. It goes inside, knocked forward, scrum to Ireland. So the Tongans with their big 8 forwards now with the advantage on Ireland's 22. Better scrum this time by Ireland. Bradley to Ward. Again coming off the side of his boot. And as we speak, Philip Matthews, having been suitably bandaged, allowed come back in. Taken by Willie Anderson, up towards halfway. He was looking for support, it was there, but not quickly enough. Well, the Tongan supporters are certainly enjoying it. Afu with the throw. Won by Felice at the front. Francis in possession for Ireland. That's Francis still driving forward. Tackled eventually by Kase Fine. Oh, tall 6'6" of Neil Francis there. So Afu throws once more, just on the Tongan 10-metre line. Taken by Fine, the referee says that wasn't straight, and Ireland up for a scrum. This is Bradley. And the free kick is against the Irish front row. Fly half, Monet going to gain ground. Just from his own 10-metre line, and not a very good one. Hooked it a bit, but it gives the Tongans footing inside Ireland's half. Kingston's throw, Donald Lenihan with Job Langbroek just behind him. Beautiful catch by Lenihan. Matthews trying to go round on the roll, feeds it in, and eventually to Bradley. Bradley's tapped through. Good work. And fullback Eteaki knocked it forward as Bradley descended upon him. So Ireland gaining ground from a rather unlikely kick ahead by Mick Bradley. Scrum they really should have organised a little more effectively. On the far side, Tupou of the Tongan scrum, outside the Tongan 22. Ireland leading 3-0. Bradley feeds Ward. Now Irwin. Back to Ward, back to Mullen, he held it well, looks for McNeil, this is McNeil, Hugo McNeil is in, try! Much more like the form we expected from the Irish backs. Hugo McNeil, his 6th international try, and well taken by the Irish backs. Notice how Ward came round on the overlap. Irwin took the dummy, then took his player out, and Brendan Mullen really did well to hold on to that pass, and Hugo McNeil, with Crossan outside him, decided to go on his own and get the try. And Felice just couldn't get to him, try. Well, it was really made by Ward and Mullen, Ward on the overlap, and Mullen holding that difficult pass and setting Hugo McNeil on his way. And now Tony Ward with the attempted conversion. Seemed to strike this very well indeed. Up go the flags. Fine kick from Tony Ward, goaling the try. Well, the form shown by the Irish backs then will please Mick Doyle. Jim Glennon, the man just in front of him, one of the party. And not showing a great deal of emotion, but I'm sure he'll be pleased with the way that worked. Brendan Mullen's good catch, setting McNeil on his way, as fly half of Monet restarts, but gives the initiative back to Ireland. And the Tongans just showing a little lack of concentration then. Bradley puts in, better heel by Kingston. Ward kicking again for ground to be gained, but while his place kicking has been superb, his line kicking today strangely disappointing. And he's as disappointed as anyone. Full throwing. And it's Kingston onto it very quickly. Bradley waiting. And a penalty against the Tongans for offside. Felice really quickly, through too quickly on Bradley. And this might very well be a very costly error for Felice. Normally a flanker, but today playing at number 8. Well, earlier in the tournament, there were a lot of discussions about the shape of the ball and whether this particular ball was good for kicking. No problems for Tony Ward so far. So Ward. Well, there were problems there for Tony Ward with the ball. Didn't get hold of it at all. And the fly half doesn't find touch as it comes to McNeil. Back towards the Tongan goalposts. Taken by the fullback, Eteaki. And he finds Bialea. That's Crossan. And once more, Crossan finds that the ball slides off the side of the boot. And the line out is back inside the Irish half. So Keith Crossan watches as Afu throws. Francis going very high. Bradley, Ward. Now Mullen. Mullen to Eteaki. And the line out halfway between the 22 and halfway. Disappointing kick there from Eteaki. As Kingston prepares to throw. McGrath, number 7 at the back of the line for Ireland. Francis can't take it, McGrath can. Left for Bradley. Bradley to Mullen. Mullen to Eteaki. McNeil is waiting for the return. That's McNeil. And a little bit of football tennis. Awkwardly down here for the Tongans. McNeil was up very quickly. And Ward couldn't keep it in play. Well, all that kicking not very inspiring. Kiteke Aho, playing on the right wing. Caught by that bounce as Afu throws inside the Tongan 22. Seemed to be knocked forward by the Tongans. Referee allowing play to continue. And this is Kiteke Aho making ground up to halfway. Good run by the Tongans into Ireland's half. Tremendous work by the Tongans, with Kiteke Aho on the right wing, really making a lot of progress. And play held up while that Irish player requires some attention. Well, look at Fifita. Nice little run, takes Bradley out of it. And Kiteke Aho racing down that right-hand touchline. Crossan got a hold of him but couldn't maintain the hold. Mullen eventually brought him down, but there came the support from Fifita. And Fifita was still going. Tony Ward swallowed him up, and in came McGrath. And now McGrath has recovered. Scrum to Ireland on their 10-metre line. 22.5 minutes gone in the game. And Ireland still in possession, but being turned. And there really had to be a penalty there, because the break forward by the Tongans put them offside. Ward had better kick this one back into the Tongan half. So Ireland leading by 9 points to 0. Tony Ward, fine penalty goal to start, and then converting McNeil's fine try. Afu's throw. Francis couldn't hold it. Knocked it forward, so it's a scrum to the Tongans. Referee Guy Moret sorting out the front rows. Better work this by the Tongans. And there's Felice making ground. And kicked through by the right wing. McNeil inside his 22. Turned well, but the line out inside the 22. All that coming from a good scrummage by the Tongans. So Afu to throw. The long one for the centre, well taken by Liavaha. Ireland driving over it. Penalty to Ireland. And minor dispute involving Philip Matthews. Quickly cooled by the referee. So as Tupou returns and Valu number 7 wants attention, so too does Willie Anderson. Well, certainly the Irish lead of 9 points to 0 doesn't look at all comfortable when one sees the Tongans breaking away as they did on 2 occasions down the right flank, and their scrum half Fafita, a real live wire, and given any space at all, he can set up a dangerous attack. And the Tongan coach affording himself a smile as Brendan Mullen, from under his own goalposts, launches it high towards the 10-metre line. Well, Brendan Mullen, of whom so much has been expected, contributed well to Ireland's try by holding a very difficult pass and sending McNeil on his way, but not as prominent as many people would like. Nicely won by Fine, and this is Amone. McNeil comes in to claim it. And between McNeil and Matthews, they lost it, and here come the Tongans, but couldn't be held there. Knocked forward by the Tongans, but Ireland offside. So the advantage to Tonga. And Amone will have this shot at goal. And one feels that it's no more than the Tongans deserve for their efforts in the last few minutes. 26.5 minutes of play having been played. We now have the Tongans with their first real scoring opportunity. From the 22-metre line, Asaele Amone with the penalty shot, and he stabs it straight and true, and Tonga have got their first points of the game. 9 points to 3. And Amone happy to see that straight penalty, not wavering at all. So Tony Ward takes the kick off, keeps it low. Mohi let it go over the line, but touched his boot, so it's a 5-metre scrum to Ireland. And Valu, number 7, the captain, all on to try and talk the referee into a 22 dropout. But the advantage very definitely now at Ireland. Lack of concentration there by Mohi. Gives Ireland this good attacking opportunity. Bradley. Straight to Ward. Thought of the drop at goal. Ward jinking on. And Tony Ward lost it over the line. Well, the jinking of Tony Ward then, catching the Tongans, gets by several players. Saw the line opening up, but the ball knocked out of his hand just as he got to the line. Ireland trying to push the Tongans back. Job Langbrook on the far side of the Irish scrum against Tupou. Awkwardly back to Fafita. He did well and gets in a good clearance. Bit of a nightmare that for any scrum half, but Fafita did well. There he is, the lively, inventive scrum half for Tonga. Terry Kingston with the throw. Francis gathers cleanly. Looks for support inside. Lays it to Bradley. Now to Ward. Now to David Irwin, bursting straight. Finds Willie Anderson. In goes Kingston. Bradley takes it to Ward. Now Brendan Mullen. The drop at goal. Left and wide. And once more, Brendan Mullen might have been tempted to run it on his own and test the Tongan defence, but chose to attempt to drop at goal, and it was never really convincing, was it? "30 minutes into the first half. This is Ringland. Ringland booting it in to the 22, and the referee saying that you weren't tackled late to Ringland, and away come the Tongans. Good work by the Tongans. This is the centre, and they've got the break. Valu in possession. Good work by Tufungavasi. Knocked it forward. And once more, the Tongans show that on the quick release, they can be so dangerous. Bradley to Ward. Better kick this time. So Tony Ward looking just a little bit tired from his exertion so far. 9 points to 3, Ireland lead. Matthews driving forward with Francis. This is Francis up towards the 22, still going strong. Back it comes to Lenihan. Bradley taken by Irwin. Now Mullen, now Crossan. Now Irwin again. Irwin into the 22. Now Brendan Mullen. Now McGrath. Pass was forward. But bodies strewn all over the park as we watch Brendan Mullen finding Matthews and McGrath. But the pass to McGrath was forward. And Job Langbrook picks himself up. But on this side, one of the players, and it's Neil Francis, who's the man who burst through so strongly then, but has obviously hurt a leg. Just 23 years of age, played twice at schools international level, or for 2 years in 1981 and 82 for Ireland. Then in his first year out of school with his club Blackrock, won the Leinster Senior Cup medal, but then was injured, and this year has come back into the attention of the Irish management. And there's Sid Miller, the Irish coach, with Mick Doyle. And I'm sure they're very pleased with the way Neil Francis has been performing so far in the game. So 33 minutes into the first half. Awkwardly back on the Tongan side, but Ireland win possession. Francis driving forward. The ball to Grand. Scrum to Tonga. Every so often that Tongan scrum gets that little bit of disorganised, and the Irish pack take advantage of it. Fafita is put in. Matthews attempting the block. Fafita's high kick not finding touch. Claimed by Ireland. Out to Brendan Mullen. To Irwin. He did well to hold that. Outside the Tongan 22. Scrum to Tonga. So Katoa picks the ball up. Katoa number 6. Fafita to his fly half, Amone, and that brings play to almost to halfway. Very sound, cool play by Amone. Well, just a little over 5 minutes from the end of the first half. Bradley to Ward. Ward's testing kick coming down to Kitefeke Aho. And it's driven on by Ireland into the 22. Good work by Kingston. Setting it up for Bradley. Now Ward. Now he tries the drop at goal. And again, left and wide. So neither Ward nor Mullen able to find the mark. He had all the time in the world, but that flicked kick is not the sort of kick that this ball responds to. So Liavaha with the dropout. Claimed by Willie Anderson. Now Bradley. Ward. Another testing kick. Eteaki underneath it. As Mullen comes to him, the mark is called for, the free kick given. Well, he kept his eye on the ball all the way. Good mark. Eteaki's kick. Crossan can't control it, but it was across the line, so line out to Ireland. Got the last inch out of it, did Eteaki. Kingston throwing. Won well by Ireland, beautifully to Bradley, to Ward. Another testing kick for Eteaki, who's coming into it. And again he claims it. No mark this time as Ireland drive over it. That was Matthews picking up. Bradley's waiting. But the Tongans are going to win it. Amone. Taken by Crossan. Back into the 22. Crossan underneath it. And he may have knocked it forward. Scrum to Tonga. And there'll be a hold-up for an injury to Eteaki, the fullback, who so bravely has caught those two high ones. One a good mark, the second one he shipped the whole weight of the Irish pack as they drove into him, and that's the one that has caused him that knock on the tie. So with 3 minutes of normal time remaining in the first half, but there will be additional time added on. Ireland only showing a lead of 6 points, 9 points to 3. We've had a penalty goal from Tony Ward, and then a very good try by McNeil, converted by Ward, to make it 9 points to 0. But then came the penalty goal by Tonga, and the fly half, Amone, got the penalty. This is awkwardly back for the Tongans, and Ireland all over them in the maul, and there goes Willie Anderson. And Job Langbroek driving for the line. Scrum to Ireland, almost on the Tongan line. So Bradley with this well-positioned scrum for the Irish. The Irish pack driving for a pushover try. Francis in his first international waiting to pounce. So is Bradley. Can they get over? Comes to Bradley, now Ward, and it's Brendan Mullen is in. Brendan Mullen given the try. So, as the Tongans held up the pushover, Francis stepped on the ball, it squirted back to Bradley, and Mullen was on hand. Well, that really doesn't show the touchdown, but we'll probably see it from this angle. And it was Mullen who took the pass, with Ward going on the short side. And he had his mind made up that he was going for that try line. And did he get it down? Well, the referee says he did. But he'd never actually exerted downward pressure on the ball. And Ward's kick is left and wide, no conversion points. So, for the second time in the World Cup, a try scored or awarded without actually being scored. And we, from behind the line, Brendan Mullen, as he went to it, just like Tony Ward earlier on, getting across the line, losing possession. But the try has been awarded. It comes to Francis from the kick-out. And the penalty for going over the top to Ireland. So the scoreboard reads 13 points to 3 for Ireland, but a little fortuitously. Referee Guy Moret, I'm sure, will have some nightmares when he sees the television replay of that Brendan Mullen try. Taken well by Anderson, but the referee has penalised Ireland for an infringement in the line-out. And Amone is going to attempt a shot at goal from the 10-metre line. So into injury time in this first half. Ireland comfortably in front, but at the same time not very convincingly in front. The forwards have been struggling to assert themselves. The backs have really, apart from one good run which brought the try by Hugo McNeil, have not really run with conviction. So Amone, the Tongan fly half from the Irish 10-metre line to try to narrow the gap. He's hit it beautifully, but it's left and wide. And Hugo McNeil tips down for the end of the first half as the referee blows his whistle, and Ireland happy with the scoreline, if not convincingly. Ireland lead 13 points to 3.
And so the Irish with the advantage at the moment, 13 to 3 over Tonga. Let's see what the second half can present. This has been quite a good game so far. The big news, I suppose, is the fact that Japan have been giving Australia a fair run for their money. At the moment, the Australians leading by 16 to 13. Let's join Fred Cogley at Ballymore in Brisbane.
Checks with the Tongan side. And Tony Ward starts the second half. Comes down to Kiteki Aho. Taken by Jim McCoy. Looks outside for Bradley. And Bradley running into no man's land. Supported by McGrath. McCoy acting as scrum half. Feeds Ward. Eteaki in possession, but Tonga going to be penalised for a late tackle. And Ireland get the start to the second half that they needed. And Tony Ward is the one who was the victim of the late tackle, and he requires attention. And Ireland starting the second half, 13 points to 3 in front. Brendan Mullen being awarded a try which on the replay on television we saw was never really granted, but as far as the records stand, referee Guy Moret awarded it to Mullen, and Ireland lead 13-3. And the penalty count so far 7-3, and the referee just wagging a warning finger towards the Tongans. And Tony Ward decides that he's going to have a shot at goal. So after 2 fine kicks, Tony has missed 2 rather uncharacteristically. We see the incident again. It was McCoy feeding Ward, and after that kick, well, very difficult because the Tongan player was committed to the tackle. It may just have been a bit high, but Ward has the penalty. And the flags go up. The referee awards the points, and Ireland lead 16 points to 3, and the second half has only just begun. So Ward adds to his 1 conversion and penalty goal in the first half. And Monet to start the second half. Or to restart again. The second half, as I say, just 2 minutes old. And Monet's long kick, claimed by Hugo McNeil. And the return finds touch just outside the 22. And looking around the ground, one notices that the breeze is beginning to blow up a little bit. And Afu with a throw. Francis taps it back to Bradley. Michael Bradley, in his 17th international, very strong, effective scrum half. Afu throwing once more. Francis doing well there at the back, turning well, feeding it to Bradley. Bradley looked for Ward, decides to kick on his own. And beautifully held by Fielia. Ball eventually going forward, and it will be a scrum to Ireland. Ward and Bradley just exchanging apologies, not linking up with each other then. Good heel by Kingston, outside Ireland's 22. Bradley really set up Ringland then. There was no way Kiteki Aho was going to let Ringland by so close to the touchline. Still close to Ireland's 22. Terry Kingston's throw. Claimed well by Ireland. McCoy on the burst. Bradley to Ward. and play near halfway. So Tony Ward, who showed one touch of his footwork magic and nearly got a try in the first half, lost the ball over the line, brings play down towards halfway as we wait for a stoppage, and Philip Matthews waits for Neil Francis, I think, to get that magic sponge. Well, Neil Francis, in his first international, has won a lot of good ball in the line-out, much to the displeasure, I'm sure, of the Tongan supporters. And quite a good sprinkling of supporters from both countries here at Ballymore. 8 metres inside the Irish half. Afu throwing. Claimed well by Felice, front of the line for Tonga. That's Valu being driven back by Anderson. Whistle goes, and it's a penalty against Ireland for offside at the line-out. Coming round the wrong side of the ruck. And it comes to Amone, who's going to try and launch a Tongan Garryown into Ireland's 22. No, he's going to gain ground. And the ball crossed the line just inside the 22. Good piece of ground gained by Amone, who had the option of launching a high kick towards the middle of the park, but chose to gain ground. That was Lenihan's catch. And Ireland drive out to the 22-metre line. Bradley to Ward. And we're back almost to the 10-metre line. Certainly Ireland choosing or electing not to run the ball, and certainly not in positions inside their own danger area. Afu's throw. Knocked on by the Irish. Scrum to Tonga. And Tupou, the last to go down. And the referee saying, I'm the one who's going to referee this game. Better heal this by Afu. Amone. And that's Mohi. Tackled by David Irwin. The turn is good. They have the overlap. Good break by Liafa. And he looks outside. Crossan brings off the tackle. In goes Fafiti. And McNeil takes him into touch. Good support work by Fafiti, the scrum half. So danger for Ireland, leading 16 points to 3. Anderson goes high but is penalised. And the penalty to Tonga inside Ireland's 22. And they elect to have a shot at goal. The referee saying that Anderson was supported in the line-out. So out half Asaeli Amone to try to get his second penalty goal. Ireland at the moment 16-3 in front, but really not taking this game by the scruff of the neck at all. The forwards struggling to contain the Tongans, the backs not running with any real conviction. So Amone from the 22 makes no mistake. Beautiful kick. 6 points for Tonga. Both of penalty goals coming from Amone, 16 for Ireland. McNeil taking the long kick down towards the dead ball line, and it just carries over. So 22 dropout for Tonga. And I'm sure Tonga a little disappointed that they haven't been able to get enough possession to run at the Irish defence. Liabaha with the dropout, coming back to Crossan. Keith Crossan really has seen very little of the ball his way as Afu throws. Taken by Matthews outside the Tongan 22. Referee's whistle goes, and he's going to give the scrum to Tonga. Afu with the beard in the middle of the Tongan front row as Fafita puts in. Felice, the number 8, finds Fafita. Tackled by Francis. Ireland trying to pick up. Fafita out to Amone. And this is the wing forward Katoa, but Ireland were offside. And the Fijians quickly take it. This is Liava, and he finds the hooker, Afu. Now Katoa, the ball still in play. Tungafasi driving into the 22. Fafita waits, but the ball's in touch. Once more, the quickly taken penalty by the Fijians, catching Ireland at 6s and 7s. Good work by the hooker, finding Katoa in support. And the Tongans really driving into Ireland's 22. Good work by Tungafasi, kept the ball in play, but eventually the foot went into touch and we have a line out. But we won't have it until Ireland's captain, Donal Lenihan, recovers. So the Tongans really putting Ireland on the rack from those quickly taken penalties, and the Irish concentration perhaps not as sharp as it should be in cutting them out. Number 2 there for Tonga, hooker, Amone Afu. Kingston's throw, won by Lenihan. Bradley to Ward. And Ireland move away from their 22. (16 points to 6). Just 14 minutes into the second half. Fafita finds now Liviav out to McNeil, and still Tonga pile on the pressure. And the Tongans are the ones who are playing the positive football just at the moment. Ireland winning the lineouts quite comfortably. Anderson, Lenihan particularly, and Francis at the back doing well. Once more, Francis goes high. Ward. And we're back to the 10-metre line. Ward's defensive kicking improving in the second half. But if the Tongans could get more ball from the line out, how dangerous they'd be. Fifita links with Valu. Now Katoa. Fifita again. Afu driven back, but away come the Tongans. Ball considered to have been passed forward, scrum to Ireland. Bradley to put in just inside the Irish half. He goes on the open side. Interesting that Bradley chose that side because the entire Irish backline had gone the other way. Tony Ward. As Ireland gain a footing in the Tongan half. Again, well won by the Tongans, but can they get it back? Bradley steals it. Matthews, number 6, with him, driving forward. Now Kingston feeds Ward. The long one to Brendan Mullen. Taken by Crossan. Crossan with McNeil outside him. Looks and finds McGrath. McGrath on his own, supported now by Ward. And Ireland will get the scrum. Well, on the few occasions that Ireland have run it, they've made a lot of progress. They've chosen, however, not to run it all the time. So 3 Irish players down at the moment. Brendan Mullen was the first, as we watch this long pass from Ward to Brendan Mullen. Mullen, the long one, almost intercepted by Liava, but Crossan setting it up into the 22. McNeil outside him, but Katoa was the one who brought off the tackle. McGrath was there in support, but it was there that the movement broke down and Ireland will get the scrum. So Brendan Mullen has recovered, but Neil Francis almost looking as if he needs a rest. Neil Francis happily recovered from the rather serious back injury he incurred 2 seasons ago. But Joe Doran, the Irish physio, says he's okay. And in the scrum, good heel to Bradley, to Ward, Brendan Mullen, the long one to David Irwin, now McNeil, now Ringland, now Ward. Ward looks for support, but the player was in touch. Ward had put a foot in touch, Mullen couldn't hold it. Anyway, line out to Tonga. They'd have been happier with the 22 drop out for a knock on over the line. Good work by the Irish backs. Ringland coming round to set up Ward. Ward getting inside one, but he couldn't get inside Katoa before putting a foot in touch. And Mullen, again, over the line, but he wasn't going to get that try. So 16 points to 6. Ireland in front. Katoa injured there in the tackle on Ward. We've had just 19 minutes of this second half, and in the last few moments Ireland beginning to look more like side we know they can be. They did produce one magnificent try in the first half, which Hugo McNeil rounded off, but then we had Brendan Mullen getting a try from a straight drive at the posts, and the try awarded, although he seemed to lose possession just as he went over the line. Ireland leading 16-6. Ireland trying to hold the Tongans awkwardly to Fifita. He did well to get his kick in, but no ground gained. So Ireland have the line out, 2 meters from the Tongan line. Terry Kingston with the throw, second cap for Ireland. Won by Anderson. Bradley, Ward, Irwin, back to Ward, looks for Brendan Mullen, and this time he's in. That was better. Good try, Brendan Mullen. And that's a much healthier scoreline for Ireland. And again, the loop by Ward as he took the pass from Irwin, setting it up just as it was set up in the first half for McNeil, this time for Brendan Mullen. So Brendan Mullen gets his second try, and Tony Ward this time adds the points, his second conversion. And Ireland beginning to pull away. But just as they played against Canada, it's taken Ireland a long time to look convincing. And the Irish subs and the Irish party there now looking a lot more relaxed. Brian Spillane just blocking out the visage of McDoyle. So the restart by Amone, the fly half, comes to Brendan Mullen. He looks for some open space and he finds Terry Kingston. Back to Mullen. The ball back to Job Langbroek. Langbroek seemed to lose it, eventually to Bradley. Bradley to Ward. Ward well held by Irwin. Now Crossan. Crossan to Anderson. Ball was knocked forward on the ground. And Jim McCoy will be disappointed. Guy Moret very well positioned for that one. As Fifita puts in. Taken by Felice. Fifita finds Amone. Amone's kick is claimed almost by Amone. He knocked it forward though as McNeil came in on him. And Tonga are getting a penalty way back on the 10-metre line because Ireland were adjudged offside. But they will not be able to take the penalty until one of their injured players has received attention. And Amone driving forward. The awkward bounce for Amone and McNeil. McNeil tackled, Amone went down, but the pass, or at least the knock-on, was called. And the referee giving advantage to the Tongans. Amone is the one who's down injured. But happily he has recovered as the substitutes prepare in case they're required. And that looks like the young Liviava who would be required in case Amone couldn't continue. The elder Liava takes the penalty. And the choir of supporters with Alive, Alive-O, perhaps claiming an Irish win a little prematurely. It's 22 points to 6 for Ireland as Bradley feeds Matthews up towards halfway. Taken on by McGrath. Ball going forward from McGrath. Referee waits for advantage to Tonga before giving them the scrum. Philip Matthews, number 6, his influence very obvious. Fifita feeds Amone. The long one skips out Mohi. This is the fullback, Eteaki. Good run up to halfway. McGrath just gets a hand to him. Ball seemed to go forward. Referee not yet calling the scrum. And Fifita, pass intercepted by Irwin. And the referee has penalised Ireland in the ruck. That's David Irwin, and the Tongans are going to run the penalty. They've placed the ball, but now decide that Amone will have a shot at goal. Again, as the Tongans broke away, it was Fifita who kept the ball going. The long pass from Amone, skipped out Mohi, and Ate-Aki, the fullback, was the one who made a lot of progress. Number 7, McGrath, eventually just got to him, but oddly enough, the fullback could have kept going. But there was a knock-on, and it was in this ruck that the penalty came for Amone, but it sent it right and wide, and Brendan Mullen tips down for a 22 dropout. That's the score then. 26 minutes into the second half. Ward's dropout, not very well placed. Booted on by Lenihan. The referee gives Ireland the scrum for the first knock-on. Bradley putting in for Ireland. Ward, kick for Cosson. Coming down to Kitakiahu. And he knocks it forward. Another scrum outside the 22. Can be elusive. This is Bradley, looks inside from McGrath, into the 22, the support was the other side. Ireland driving over it. Bradley, Ward, Mullen to Ringland, Ringland to Matthews. Short of the line, penalty against Ireland for going over the top. David Irwin, the one who's been pointed at. David Irwin back in Ireland's side for the first time since 1984. So the penalty to be taken by the left-footed kicker, Liavaha. So Liavaha finds touch. And yet another Irish hooker requires attention. Terry Kingston in his second international. Came in for the injured Harry Harbison before the Welsh game. Harry Harbison, the number 1 hooker, had to return home. He was replaced by John MacDonald, who played against Wales. MacDonald was injured in that game and he had to return home. And Steve Smith, the reserve hooker, has been flown out and has just arrived. And he's on the subs bench, but won't be required because Terry Kingston has recovered. Jim McCoy at the front of the Irish line. Kingston's throw, well won by Donal Lenihan. Better drive by the Irish pack. Bradley waiting at their heels. Feeds Ward, now Mullen. Kick into the 22, a bit too far. Ate-Aki decides that discretion is the better part of valor. 22 dropout. And Liavaha is waiting a long way away. It didn't seem likely that he was going to take the dropout from there. Amone will take it from the more orthodox position. Trevor Ringland waits for the bounce. Back into the 22. That was a better kick by Ringland. Finds touch. So hooker Afu will take the throw. Trevor Ringland picked the spot well then, judged the kick well. And the line out, 15 metres out from the Tongan line. Afu onto it. Bradley decides to run across the touchline. And disappointment, I'd say, for the Tongan coach. Kite, who's such a pleasant character. Fifita, Amone, Mohi, awkward pass. This is the fullback kicking through. McNeil running onto it. Gets by one, finds Crossan. The counter-attack by Ireland. Into the 22. Crossan still going. Bad tackling by Tonga. Anderson fighting for it, penalised for playing the ball on the ground while he was on the ground. Fifita all anxious to get on with it, but must wait. And yet another Irish player in the wars. Two of them, in fact. And Derek McGrath. Still in trouble. Good break by Keith Crossan, but that tackling really was non-existent. Crossan could have kept going and eventually swallowed up, leaves the ball free, but as Willie Anderson went down onto the ground, he played it, and the penalty is against Ireland. So Derek McGrath getting that knee treated. So Liavaha with the penalty for Tonga. Ireland, one feels now very comfortably in control. Just 33 minutes into the second half. Kingston throwing, deflected to Bradley, taken by Matthews. Lenihan tidying it up. Bradley to Brendan Mullen. Finds Neil Francis. Bradley. And now he has McNeil. McNeil to Ringland. And eventually knocked forward, untidy. And that emanating really from Bradley's mishandling from the feed. And being forced to go onto the unprepared open side. Fifita for Tonga. Amone. Nice inside break. Francis for Ireland. Bradley picks out, finds Ward. Nice break by Ward. Now finds Matthews, Mullen, Irwin, and Crossan was in touch. Matthews there in support after that initial jinking run by Ward. Came out to Irwin, but Crossan in touch. Afu throwing for Tonga. Awkwardly down to Fifita. That's Kingston onto it. Whistle has gone though. Ireland penalised in the line out. And Liavaha, or Valu, the captain and flanker, takes the penalty quickly. Made available for Fifita. Now Monet. Mahi down on his 22. Again Ireland penalised in the ruck. And David Irwin is the one who concedes the penalty. Valu again. Kicks into space. Brendan Mullen leaves it to Ringland. Ringland still on his feet, turns. Bradley, Mullen back into the Tongan 22. Eteaki in possession. Waits to be challenged. Now the 22. 5 minutes left of normal time, not counting injuries. Ireland 22-6 in front. And Liabaha with the dropout for Tonga. Neil Francis gathers. Bradley wants it. Matthews can't give it to him. Penalty against Tonga. And I should imagine that Tony Ward will have a shot at goal. McDoyle very pensively wondering, I'm sure, whether this win by Ireland at 22 points to 6 at the moment really is satisfying. A win that will see Ireland into the quarterfinals of the World Cup, but into the quarterfinals without ever really showing the spark that we know they are capable of. Tony Ward then from 15 metres inside the Tongan half. Strikes this one more confidently, but it goes left and wide. No addition to the score. It remains 22-6. Liabaha with the dropout, taken by Willie Anderson. The Tongans leaving forwards out, covering any breaks. Ward back into David Irwin. David Irwin, this big strong runner, finds Mullen. Mullen looks for Crossan. This is Crossan. Crossan fighting to hold possession and feed it back, which he does. Bradley. Brendan Mullen. The ball is loose. Felice winning it, but the ball knocked forward by Ireland scrum to Tonga. And Keith Crossan will require some attention. That's Brendan Mullen. But it was Keith Crossan who got the big knock as he was swallowed up by the Tongan defence. Well, I'd say the Irish players have really felt the tenacity of the Tongan tackling. Keith Crossan got by one or two rather loose tackles earlier on, but he certainly wasn't going to get by the defence then. So 22 points to 6 is the score, with just a minute of normal time remaining. Felice feeds Fafita, tackled by Matthews, and there's Mullen intercepting the pass. Brendan Mullen, his third try of the afternoon. And as the game peters out, he can afford the smile. 26 points to 6. And really, that try was made by Philip Matthews. Watch him here as he swallows up Fafita, doesn't let go, drives Fafita back. Mullen was there to intercept the pass to Mohi and gets the touchdown. And Tony Ward to try to make it 28 points to 6. Succeeds. And as we go into injury time, Ireland with 4 tries, 3 from Brendan Mullen and 1 from Hugo McNeil, are sure of a place in the quarter-final. Look at Mullen waiting. He hasn't got a better pass all afternoon. Gets the try. So poor Fafita, swallowed up by Matthews, wasn't going to break away, couldn't find anyone, only Brendan Mullen. And Brendan was in for his third try of the afternoon. The kick off from Amone, taken by Anderson. Ireland penalised for coming round the wrong side of the player in possession. And the Tongans now have conceded that there's no way they're going to make any impression, so they're looking for points, and Amone is going to have a shot at goal. It gives us an opportunity to run through the scoring so far. Hugo McNeill getting Ireland's first try, Brendan Mullen adding 3, one of which was somewhat doubtful when he didn't seem to ground the ball. Tony Ward converted 3 of the tries and kicked a penalty goal. Tony Ward, in fact, got 2 of the conversions. And the points for Tonga, all kicked by this man, Amone, who makes it 9 points for Tonga, Ireland 28. And disappointment for the Tongans, who are hoping to finish their involvement in the World Cup with a more positive afternoon's work. They'll be disappointed they didn't manage to get a try. All their points coming from the boot of the fly half Amone, as Ward goes through the formality of restarting the game. Amone forced to find touch outside the 22. Referee Guy Moret now playing the additional time, and it'll take a lot to upset those happy supporters. Kingston throwing. Francis tapping it down to Langbrook, his other debut international. Bradley feeds Ward. Tony Ward looks for the gap, finds Bradley again. This is Bradley making room for Trevor Ringland, who makes it for McNeill. Can he get a second try? Hugo McNeill is in, his second try of the afternoon. And that's just the icing on the cake as Ireland go 32-9 in front. The tap down from Francis to Langbrook set it up, and Trevor Ringland gave it to McNeill. He did well to catch it just behind him and showed a lot of good pace and power to get the touchdown in the corner. So, with what may well be the last kick of the match, Tony Ward fails to convert the try. The whistle is gone, and Ireland are into the quarterfinals with a comfortable victory over Tonga by 32 points to 9.